Need to freak out. We have Storyblok.
So let's get this baby online.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Hannah Rhodes. I work for Storyblok as a senior event marketing specialist. We're so excited today for this webinar to have Chris and Daniel from Boulder SEO Marketing. This is a two-part webinar. Hopefully you were able to join the one earlier this year. If not, no worries. We will catch you up. As many of you know, Google made significant changes in their algorithm, which has affected how we approach SEO and optimize our content. So in this session, Chris and Daniel are going to walk us through how they implement these SEO techniques in real time so you can follow along and use these for your own brand's advantage and using this competitive new SEO landscape. So afterwards, we will have a Q&A. We will try and answer as many as possible. If we can't get to you, we will send up a follow-up email to you. So just wanted to welcome Chris and Daniel. And from here, I will pass it off to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. I'm going to share my screen. Let's do that. And I'm going to go full screen. Can you guys see my screen?
I can.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So welcome to today's SEO webinar for tech brands. We're going to talk about how to transition to Google's new algorithm. We're going to share some SEO hacks for tech brands. If you're not a tech brand, you're still in the right webinar. The stuff that we're going to share here is applicable to basically any sector, I believe. If you have a website, the content that we're discussing here is going to be very useful to you. Real quickly about myself, my name is Chris. I'm the founder of Boulder SEO Marketing, originally from Switzerland, moved to Boulder, Colorado back in '96. Have been in SEO since before Google was called Google. They were called Backrub back then. So it's not like a hobby or like something that I was interested in turned into a profession. And my claim to fame is if you do a search for international SEO expert in Google, you should see the first non-paid organic search result. That's my personal website. So I speak globally about SEO, AI, global digital marketing. I just spoke in China at a conference. So there's a lot of interest, especially now with AI. The big thing that's happening, right, has impacted SEO quite dramatically. So that's part of this webinar that we're talking about today. Enough about me. Daniel, who are you?
Yeah, very quickly. I'm originally from Brazil, came to the United States for college, and then started my first agency at that point. So my background is mostly running website design agency for about 20 plus years. And a lot of what I bring to the table now at Boulder SEO Marketing is how the technical side of things, how does a website play a role and influence the SEO, and more, it plays, a huge role. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So I look forward to spending the next 60 minutes here with everyone.
Awesome. And then if you already have questions for us, please put them in the chat or Q&A interface. And then Hannah, if you see a question that we absolutely have to answer, feel free to interrupt us. Otherwise, let's get to questions at the end of this presentation. All right. So Daniel, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is a tech brand, and why is this webinar right for the people that are attending today?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll answer that. Essentially, a tech brand is a pretty broad term, right? It essentially means any company or person who works with technology, software, hardware, anything related to. But with that being said, the presentation that we did today is kind of tweaked to be focused on tech brands. But what we're going to be going over today and what we're going to be teaching today, really, like Chris said, applies to pretty much every type of company and every type of website. I'm sure there's a few exceptions out there, but really what we're going to talk about today is what could benefit if any brand really focuses on implementing these things.
Well said. Well said. All right. So we got a pretty packed agenda. Are we going to be able to tell you everything about what we would love to convey here and teach you about SEO? Absolutely not possible. But I think we're going to give you a pretty good overview, why you need to worry about SEO, what is changing with Google's algorithm. We're going to go over a case study of a ed tech company that we helped to get to the top in Google for their main target SEO keyword. So we'll show you step by step, what we did, and then hopefully you'll get a pretty good idea on, if you should or not invest into search engine optimization. All right. So why tech brands need SEO? Why does any website need SEO? And Daniel, I forgot, were you going to take this slide or am I going to take this one?
You're going to take this one. I was going to take the next one.
Perfect. So SEO versus pay-per-click, those are the Google ads where you pay Google per click for your ad to show up. It's sort of like it's like a bad medication that you want to get off, right? SEO allows you to get your website to rank at the very top in Google organically. Once you're up there, you're going to stay up there for the foreseeable future. So SEO truly is the gift that keeps on giving. So what we're doing here at BSM, at Boulder SEO Marketing, we often try to get our customers off that bad medication called pay-per-click so that their website shows up organically, naturally in Google at the top, right? SEO allows you to showcase your expertise, drive product discovery, allows customers to find you organically. Everybody is doing search online, right? Also go global, right? Many companies, they need to look at international markets. SEO is an incredible tool to make a global splash. You don't need to be a major corporation to do international search engine optimization. It's pretty straightforward. We're not going to talk much about international SEO in this webinar, but man, this, like, even a micro size company can do international multilingual SEO to make a splash globally. And everything is measurable, trackable with tools such as Google Analytics. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. Daniel, you're going to take this slide, right?
Yeah, I could talk about this. And again, there's more benefits of SEO. And I'm assuming that a lot of us really understand the benefit of SEO, and that's why we're here, right? It's essentially, the bottom line is to make sure that you're cutting through the noise. The internet is a really busy place, and making sure that you're coming through, that people that are looking for what you do, they can find you. But most importantly, I'm going to kind of focus on what I think is the most important reason, which is the middle bullet point there, which is the build trust, right? And what build trust, and one of the things that we as an agency have been focusing over the past, I would say, year and a half, and things that we are adapting and changing as an agency moving forward, is really around something called EEAT, right? And it stands for expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And this is essentially a signal that Google uses to really understand what is the EEAT score of the brand. And that'll help tremendously, as we're going to show later, for you to rank higher, right? Why? And why is this really important? It's really important for two reasons to build that trust. Number one, when you can actually create content that shows to Google that you're an expert, authoritative, and a trustworthy voice on your industry, that content is going to be ranked higher than other content out there. So that's why it's really important to put together content that is really the best content out there. But then the second thing is, because you're actually putting content that makes you truly a trustworthy expert on your industry, you connect with your audience at a much higher level, really increasing that conversion rate, increasing that trust between the customer and you. So really building the trust, which is that EEAT score, plays kind of two benefits of really connecting more with your audience, but at the same time, ranking higher. So a lot of what we're going to do today and talk about today is really around that building trust, building that EEAT around you and the brand. Chris.
Excellent. And a quick add-on to the importance of EEAT. Why is it so important? Well, we all know, right? ChatGPT was launched in November of 2022, and now there's so many generative AI tools where anybody can, just bring up this tool and say, hey, write me a blog post about this or that, right? So the internet is being flooded with just spun, not original content. It's actually being put up on websites, right? So Google is dealing with a massive problem, right? They have to detect that it's AI generated content, and B, they're going to have to de-index it because it costs them a lot of money to index all of that content in their server farms, right? So the differentiator is EEAT. If you can prove to these search engines that you're the real deal, like that is going to make the difference. All right. So that is probably one of the biggest algorithm updates that we're seeing, where, Google is still struggling with it, but they're getting better and better and better at identifying, who's associated with that content. And if you have a high EEAT profile, you will rank higher than, somebody with a lower EEAT score. I hope that makes sense. Talking about content, this is where most companies fail. This is, why customers come to us. Creating high quality content is really, really, really hard. It takes time. It takes expertise. It takes knowledge. It takes, somebody has to do it, proofread it, etc., etc., etc. Right? There is no SEO without high quality content. Again, anybody can go over to one of these Gen AI tools and whip up, 20, 100, 1,000 blog posts in no time. Is it going to do the website any good? Absolutely not, right? So our recommendation, if you want to rank high, you're going to have to invest into creating the best possible content. And this is what this webinar is all about. We're going to show you an example. We're going to show you exactly what we did, how we did it for that client. And then we're also going to share some templates that you can use. Google absolutely loves how-to guides, informational content, such as step-by-step instructions that can be very applicable in the tech industry. So my recommendation, if you create content, these how-to guides are an incredible way for your content to be served at the top in Google. Let me quickly show you an example. I spoke at a conference in Denmark last September, and I did a test. I wanted to see how fast could I get an informational guide. Basically, the main target keyword was SEO price guide, right? How fast could I get a piece of content to rank at the very top in Google? And you can do a Google search, just search for SEO price guide. You should see that guide at the very top in Google. How fast could I get this guide using our Micro SEO strategy methodology? How fast can I get this guide to rank at the top in Google? I'm extremely happy to say it took us, I think, 5 weeks. And it goes back to, we truly created incredible content. So if you're willing, able, and excited to put in the hard work to get this done, it is absolutely possible. All right. Now, with that being said, let's take a quick step back. This content needs to reside somewhere. Daniel, I'm going to let you talk about what is a headless CMS. So I'm going to unshare my screen, and I'm going to let you share your screen and take over here.
Perfect. I will do that. Give me a second here. As soon as you stop on sharing, Chris, you're still sharing.
Oh, sorry. User error. There we go.
There you go. So perfect. So one of the important things that I do on a daily basis is really try to break down kind of very technical, things into understandable tidbits so all of us can understand what it is. And in full transparency, when I first heard of headless CMS, it took me a little bit of time to really understand what it was, what it is, and how it benefits both from a usability perspective, but also from a SEO perspective, right? Which is for us a really important aspect. So we essentially have the traditional CMS and a headless CMS, right? A traditional, I'll use as an example here, a WordPress website. And, a headless would be, Storyblock, for example. So what are the main differences, right? Well, both of these are going to have the legs. And the leg, for example, of a traditional is the authoring interface. So if you're aware of, and I'll use WordPress as an example because a lot of you know what it is, it's the platform where you log in to make all of the management and administration of that specific system. And on top of that, WordPress then connects with a database, and the database is where you store all your images and all your content and a bunch of other information that's going to be used. And then on top of that, the website is presented. Now, this is called the traditional because it's a very vertical, unified system, right? From the authoring interface to all the content being stored right there and to the website. What the headless does, which is really unique and really interesting, is, so this is what people see as the website. So again, the headless also has these three elements, right? The authoring interface, which is this place where you can go in and manage everything that you need to manage using the, content management system. Again, there's going to be a database, which is this place where you store the images and the information and so forth. But where it differs is this. Now that you have this authoring interface and you have this database, you can actually create different elements that are going to be viewable to the public. So for example, you can use Ruby on Rails to create an application somewhere. For example, if you have a touch screen on the, at an airport, for example, and you want to create a user experience on that touch screen and use the same content and information, you can do that. If you want to create a podcast, XML, you can do that. Or if you want to integrate with Alexa, see, what the headless allows you to do is have one content management system in one database and then create all of these user touch points. And all of these user touch points are going to be done using APIs, right? That from a user perspective is, and from an administrative perspective, a super advantage, right? Because you have all of this flexibility to create all of these different touch points. Now, for what we're talking about here today in terms of SEO, how does that benefit SEO? Well, in a lot of different ways, right? First of all, fast loading speeds. Headless CMS uses technology that really simplifies the distribution of this content, which makes it a lot faster. And as we know, one of the real important things that Google takes into account to rank as one of the ranking signals is how well that website performs technically. The speed is very important, right? On Google Search Console, you will see if you're getting penalized for speed, making sure that the website loads really fast is an important thing, not only for user experience, but most importantly for ranking. Again, one of the reasons that it does that is because it has clean code and a lot of flexibility. The clean code, again, makes websites load faster, not alone. There's other things that will help it load faster, but the clean code, again, is going to make Google happy with the quality of the health score of the entire website, right? A lot of these other more traditional CMSs bring a lot of junk into the system. And anytime that you put in a new plugin or a new functionality, it just weighs down, the entire code. And the more code that Google has to crawl through and crawl through an index, the heavier that website is, and it does affect the SEO. One of the things that we talk a lot about in other webinars, we're not going to go into too much detail here, but one of the things that we do tremendously for our clients is schema, structured data, right? Making sure that your website has the right schema, the right structured data in the right places is extremely important. A headless CMS allows you to have a lot more control over how that schema is going to be presented, especially as it, kind of works with different heads, through that environment. Again, going back to the example of that I showed on the previous screen, it really allows you to have a lot more flexibility, allowing your content to be presented in web and mobile and apps and so forth, which allows more touch points, which allows more people to interact with that content, which at the end really, increases the search signals, right? Because there's more people interacting with that content. And most importantly, and again, this one really, the reason I included this one in here as part of an SEO, even though it's, scalability and future proofing, if things change, which they do all the time, right? There's new technologies, there's new systems, there's new platforms, and there's things that you want to put your content on. One of the things that we deal the most with is desperate calls from clients that come to us and say, we just redesigned our website and we got completely killed on SEO. Why? And there's 100 reasons why that happened. And, we usually go in there and we say, okay, well, this is why that happened and this is what you should have done and so forth. Anytime that you have a more traditional website and you need to make changes to it, a lot of times you're going to have to redesign the website, reuse a new content management system. That change, usually, even if it's done correctly, it's going to affect your search engine optimization rankings because Google's going to reindex everything, look at the new code, look at everything, and it affects. What the headless allows you to do is make sure that you keep that foundation consistent. So when you're changing these different touch points, Google doesn't necessarily see that as a complete redesign. So you're not going to get that big dip of SEO loss before Google starts ranking you again. So from an SEO agency perspective, being able to do that technical transition and not seeing a dip in SEO is extremely important. So that's why I added that in there, because we always try to shy away from big, structural changes to the website. So with that being said, I think those are some of the top 5, reasons that we say that, the headless CMSs are very beneficial for SEO. Chris, I'll let you take back the screen from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. Let me share my screen again. Perfect. Daniel, can you see my screen?
I can.
All right. Okay, let's talk about what is probably the biggest change in Google's algorithm and the search engine results pages in probably 20 years, right? It's Google's AI overviews. If you don't know what that is, I'll show you an example in a second here. In short, it's basically an AI-powered summary that now appears at the top of search results I think right now in about 7% of all searches. So 7 out of 100 times when you do a search, you should see a AI-powered overview, okay? The content that's being presented to you is being pulled from various sources on the internet, and it can include text, pictures, videos, whatnot, right? Anything that's out there that's relevant to a search. And this is happening through these advanced large language models such as Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, etc., etc. So this is still evolving as we speak. So what we're showing here you today is the current situation. Are things going to change? Absolutely. This is what excites me, about SEO right now. Finally, something is changing. All right. So let me show you an example. Not too long ago, if you were to do a search for like largest mammal in the world, you would see a featured snippet right there, the blue whale. Basically would refer back to Wikipedia, give you a little bit more information about this search, right? Now, what we're seeing if we're doing this search, you see this AI overview right there. As you can see, you get a lot more information. If you were to click on these little pull down menus there, you would see the sources where this information comes from. Okay. This provides the user with way more, useful information, but it also keeps a lot more people on Google. They will not necessarily click through to a website. You can also ask follow-up questions. You can really engage with this AI overview content. Again, click-through rates to websites will probably dramatically go down because of these AI overviews. So don't fire SEO agency right away if you see that clicks to your website are going down. This could be the reason, right? And as we can see there, the traditional search result that we would have gotten not too long ago is now being pushed down to below the AI overview. This is reality. Again, about 7 out of 100 times you will see an AI overview. Obviously, it depends what industry you're in, etc. But that's approximately the percentage that we're seeing right now. All right. So why is it a game changer for tech brands, or let's say any website out there? It can actually give you a visibility boost, right? Especially with tech brands. If you are, if your clients, they need to call you, if you have a call center, this is an excellent opportunity to optimize help content so that it will show up in these AI overviews. So not only can you potentially make more money with optimizing your website, but you can also save money, right? Every call to a call center, I think the average cost is about, I think in the US, it's between 15 and $30, right? If you're able to get your content, help content, to show up in AI overviews, people will find what they're looking for. They will not potentially have to call your helpline, right? So tremendous new opportunities for tech brands and anybody who's interested in getting their content to show up in these AI overviews. Daniel, anything to add there?
Yeah, no, and I was going to say, so there's, things are changing a lot. So I think there's when the Google AI content shows up, there's two things to keep in mind, I think, right? One of them is if you show up on the results, or if the content that is created by Google AI refers to your website as content that it's picking up from, it means you made it, right? Because Google at that point is using what they believe is the most trustworthy, authoritativeness, content on the web. So putting together content that is getting picked up by Google to create this Google algorithm overview, it's great news, right? And then the second thing, yes, because Google's trying to create this ecosystem that they're going to be able to provide more and more information without users having to go and navigate websites, traffic to, clicks to websites are going to go down. But your chances, because you are being listed on the Google AI overview of one of the sources that this information was built from, you're going to be getting more clicks than everybody else who's below, right? Or your chances to generate more traffic is going to increase. So understanding that the Google AI overview is this thing that Google's creating so people can get what they need without visiting websites. But if they're picking up information from your website, showing you there as the resource, that is a real big win for business owners moving forward.
Absolutely. And we're going to show you how to create that kind of content that has a chance to show up in these AI overviews. All right. Amazing new opportunities, right, for any website owner. All right. Let me show you a personal example how fast, I mean, this algorithm update is so dramatic. Not too long ago, this would not have been possible. So I basically got scammed by Avis. I rented a car. It had existing damage. I reported it to the attendant. They told me, oh yeah, it's already being reported. Luckily, I took a video. Drove off. When I returned the car, I reported it again. They assured me that that it was already attached to that vehicle, and then 3 months later, I get a letter from Avis and Sedgwick, their claims partner company. It's like, hey, Chris, you got to pay $1,500 for that damage that you caused. I'm like, no way. I'm going to waste your time as much as I can. So we went back and forth for a long time, and eventually they really drove me crazy. I'm like, hey, I'm going to create the best possible content that will expose that scam. I do believe it's a scam. So I took to LinkedIn. If you do a search for like Avis damage scam, you will find a LinkedIn post that I created. In less than 24 hours, my post made it into the AI overview. That just shows it's like really good content, right? I spend a lot of time creating something to help other people being scammed by these companies. So that algorithm update, oh my God, I mean, it's incredible. Not too long ago, this would not have been possible. If you do a good job, you can get your content to rank at the top in Google in these AI overviews within a very short amount of time. And then, by the way, Google loves LinkedIn. So I highly recommend publish content on LinkedIn. It will give you a chance to potentially show up at the top in Google for your search engine optimized content. All right. Obviously, we have a very short amount of time here in this webinar. We're hosting a half-day online SEO workshop on October 24th about what we're discussing here. It's going to be a very hands-on, detailed online workshop. If you would like to join us, I invite you to use the code StoryBlock for $20 off. That was our sales pitch over. All right, Daniel, let's get into the case study. Let's show our attendees how to implement this methodology basically step by step. So we're going to use an ed tech customer of ours. They came to us. They wanted to rank at the top in Google for their primary keyword class lists. All right. And I'm thrilled to report that using our AI and SEO methodology, we were able to get them to rank at the very top in Google with a brand new piece of content. I believe it took less than 3 months. So we launched that page right there. And then in, I think just before the 3 months mark, we actually got them to rank at the very top in Google for their primary target SEO keyword. All right. The cool thing is that if you create one of these micro SEO strategy pages, pieces of content, not only will you potentially rank at the top in Google for your primary SEO keyword, Google has gotten way, 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 way better at understanding context, right? Google will also reward you for complementary keywords such as class lists for teachers, etc., 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 right? But that's only possible if you create basically the ultimate best piece of content on the internet in relation to the search terms that you want to be found for. All right, Daniel, I'm gonna you do all the onboarding. Once I do all the sales, then I hand them over to you. If you just want to very briefly, just give us in a nutshell who's that client, and I highlighted there in a nutshell who they are, what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I can't really read what's on there, but I'm just going to explain. So, Class Composer essentially is a client that offers a software for teachers to automate and make better the process of creating classes, right? So, in the old days, they would have to put, stickies on the wall and figure out who's going to be better with who and which classes and so forth. And essentially, this software really automates that system and uses intelligence to build the best class lists, right? And the reason he came to us is because he has this amazing product, which is a really great fit for a lot of schools, but nobody was finding it, right? And class lists is actually, and I didn't know this before we actually started onboarding the client, is a keyword that's very much used by the industry to look for not only resources, but solutions for helping them create class lists, which is something that they have to do every semester. So the idea is that he was ranking pages 5, 6. Nobody can find him there. So our main focus working with him is to say, hey, let's get this page, let's get this keyword, and let's work on a micro strategy to make sure that people can find you. And we essentially achieve that by getting him to page number 1.
Awesome. All right. And by the way, down there's the link to the case study. Hannah, you can share a PDF version of those slides so that people don't have to take screenshots, or so we'll happily share the slides in PDF format. All right, let's carry on with this case study. So basically what we did for this client after doing our initial analysis, we recommended, hey, let's optimize the meta tags of your pages on your website. I'll show you what that is and how you can identify your metadata. Then we also recommended technical fixes. I'll show you how to do that. We're going to give you access to a tool that you can use to take a look at, what's potentially wrong or right with your website in terms of technical issues. And then this is the key part where we're going to talk about the micro SEO strategy methodology that allows us to create basically the best piece of content that has a chance to rank at the top in Google for its primary target SEO keywords. All right. Daniel, I'm going to let you quickly, in a nutshell, explain what is a micro SEO strategy.
For sure. So a micro SEO strategy is when we either work with an existing page that already exists, or we're going to create a new page. For the most part, we like to use existing pages that are ranking somewhere already. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn that page into the ultimate resource about that specific topic, right? So one of the things that we have to hold ourselves from doing is calling a lot of the pieces that we work with, which we do, is like the ultimate resource on class lists, for example, because the pieces that we're creating are going to be the best page on the internet about that specific subject matter. So we're going to go through this entire process that Chris is going to outline. But at the end, when we create this long piece that's a true resource, Google's going to index this and say, yes, this is the ultimate piece of content about this specific matter. One more thing that I wanted to say, which I didn't on the previous slide, is that one of the things that class lists did was outrank some major software companies that actually also offer competing class list software, right? We were doing number 1. That's true for a lot of other of our clients. We have clients that are outranking Amazon. We have clients that are outranking Wikipedia for specific keywords. So I just wanted to bring that up because the whole concept of this micro strategy and focusing on true EEAT focused pages allows David to really, beat Goliath on the internet today, which is really amazing to see.
Awesome. All right, cool. So we're going to show you this tool. It's called SE Ranking. I'm a brand ambassador for this tool. I teach part of a master's degree at a university in Europe online. So they give my students complimentary access to their tool. So I'd like to endorse them. Right down there is the link to where you can sign up for a month-long free trial. No credit card required. So I highly recommend, if you don't already use a tool, we absolutely love SE Ranking. Right there is the link. All right, so let's do some screen sharing here. This is the hands-on part. Let me head over to, this is the tool, SE Ranking. If you sign up, just play around. It has a ton of sections. The best way to get to know like SEO software is just use it and play around with it. We are already, I think, a little bit behind time, so I'm going to jump right into what we mentioned before, the meta data title description. So if you set up a website audit for your website, I'm using my personal website right now, under crawled pages, when you set up an audit here, you can visibly see what is what is the title meta content and what is the description meta content. If you were to do a search for international SEO expert, so basically this is the title tag, right? This is what I put on the back end of this page. So I did a good job. Google took it 1 for 1. I always recommend include a keyword. In this case, international SEO consultant in the title tag. And then Google also took exactly 1 for 1 what I put on the back end in the meta description tag. Here I use the keyword international SEO expert. So I highly recommend take a look at your meta tags, make sure they're properly optimized. This is what we did for the class lists client, right? This will make a big impact in terms of your search engine visibility. The ideal length for a title tag is between 50 and 60 characters. And for a description tag, it's usually 148, 150 to about 160 characters. All right. Then we also looked at our customers' overall, technical health of the website. Again, SE Ranking, you can set up a project and then take a look at, the overall, health score of the website. This tool will give you incredible information. This is technical stuff. And Daniel, I don't know if you want to very briefly talk about, why not to obsess too much about technical issue, but why it's still important to deal with it.
In a nutshell, I think that if you try to fix everything that a tech audit will come up with, this one and others, you're going to be spending a lot of time developing things that might move the needle a little bit. So it's important to look at that list and understand what is the 80-20, right? What is the 20% of things that's going to move the needle 80%? And that's what we do internally in terms of prioritizing what items need to be fixed. So in a nutshell, that's what I would recommend.
Okay, awesome, cool. All right, so let's get to the beefy part, content. No SEO without content. Daniel, we're already a little bit behind schedule here. Let's make it short and sweet, but if you very quickly want to talk about how to create helpful, reliable, people-first content and the advice by Google here.
Yeah, so I think, if this piece could be shared as well with with everyone on the webinar, I would say that this is probably the one piece of most important information that you guys can take away from this. Why? Because anytime, for example, we use this in 2 ways, right? Anytime that we look at a website that's getting really hit with a lot of pages getting de-indexed, we're going to go to specific pages that are no longer indexed and go through this page to truly understand what is it about what Google is asking for in terms of content that this page is not doing. And we use the same thing when we're creating new content, right? We go through and we're going to assess the content that we're creating to make sure that we are following these things. Again, read this page. I'm just going to go over really the important stuff. But the most important stuff here that you need to focus on is essentially that your question needs to answer 3 questions: the who, the how, and the why, right? How your content was created. Very important. Was this created by AI? Was this created by a team of people that did some research? Was this created by interviewing experts in the industry and bringing their thoughts together? This needs to be a big important aspect of the content that was created. The second thing is, why was it created? And it's amazing, but Google knows why, right? Because if you're creating a piece of content just to be ranked on Google, it's just filler content. Let's create 5 blog posts a month. Let's put it on there. That is going to not rank. But if you're creating a why of really helping people solve an issue and get through their process of understanding what they need to do, an educational piece, that is going to be extremely important. And last but not least, why, right? Why is this piece of content exists? So there's going to be a lot of information that you are going to go through in here to make sure that the pieces of content that you're creating really follows the EEAT kind of guidelines that Google's essentially telling you what you need to write and how you need to write it and how you need to present it to make sure that Google, when they index that piece of content is going to be indexed by Google and taken seriously. So again, in a nutshell, I can go on for 30 minutes on this page, but I would recommend everyone really spend some time on this, because if you truly understand the content on that page, you're going to have the information that you need to create content that is going to be indexed by Google.
Awesome. And I just put a link into the chat to this document. This is at the core of our Micro SEO strategies methodology. So if you were to do a search for class lists, right, this is the piece of content that we ultimately created. I'm just going to quickly scroll through it. As you can see, it's pretty extensive, right? I think the client worked with us on developing the content, but this is what it takes. Low quality content will not cut it. And let me show you how we created this piece of content. So if you invest time in creating content for your website, and by the way, I'll share maybe make this a little bit smaller here. I'll show a little template that you can use to create content. Basically, we take a look at, is it an existing or new page? We love to work with existing content that already works in some form or shape. It will usually rank faster. In this case, we decided we're going to create a brand new educational guide, right? Then we do keyword research for, how many people are actually searching for, keywords. You can use SE ranking. So I head over to keyword research, where don't just guess, right? Know how many people are actually searching for, those keywords. As you can see, there's about 100 people in the US searching for this keyword. Apparently a lot more in the UK. All right. Then, so we usually have a separate tab here where we take a look at quite a few keywords and then check with the client. Hey, is this a good keyword? Does it make sense to optimize for these keywords? Then we usually pick 3 to 5 primary target SEO keywords that we make sure we include in the content. Then we also have secondary related keywords and then variations. Simply to give Google better an understanding, about the context. Make sure you use keywords that people are actually searching for that make sense in relation to the piece of content that we're creating. Then we're going to think about, who's our target audience. Okay, don't just write content without knowing who needs to get to that content. Because only this, if you do this, you will be able to create high quality content that actually specifically talks to a certain buyer persona. Then always set goals, right? We want to increase organic traffic, rank number 1 for these keywords, etc., etc. Why not set some goals? Then we do an analysis. We call it SGE analysis. Basically, if we do a search for these keywords, is Google going to trigger a AI overview? If so, we're going to copy the text into a Google Doc, just paste it in there, and then we use AI tools to clean it up, where we say, hey, please clean up this content so there's no duplicates, please structure it right. We call that the most critical content. If Google shows that kind of content in their AI overviews in relation to a search term, heck, we know that it must be pretty important content. So we're going to make sure that we'll at least talk about this content because it is very important. Then we also come up with tone and elements that we need to include. We brainstorm with the client. That will give us really good idea what to create, how to create it, what to talk about in this piece of content. And then Daniel, if you quickly want to talk about once we've done all our research, how do we create the content outline?
Yeah, so the content outline is essentially what gets provided to our team of writers, so they have the structure of what they need to write, right? What we're going to be doing is we're going to be using a multitude of things, right? We're going to be doing some manual research on Google to see, hey, for this keyword, what are the top 10 sites that show up organically? And then we're going to use the AI, generative AI, and see what is Google showing as generative AI results for that keyword. Bring that into as well. Then at that point is one of the few times that we actually leverage AI to have AI help us say, hey, here is what is out there today. Here's what we have on our website. What are other pieces of information or topics that we can include in here to make this the ultimate resource? And we get some great ideas, right, from AI, which is really, really built to do this really well, right? Because they pretty much have crawled everything out there. And then we get all of this information, and then our team will get all of those headlines and then put together really a structure that's going to flow, that is going to be a structure for the most informative, complete piece of information. And then that goes to our writers, and then our writers go through the process of doing the research, coming up with the content, connecting with experts if needed to create that human-generated piece of content that was created based on this outline, which at that point was, assisted by AI to really make sure that we're talking about all the things that we need to talk about.
Awesome. And eventually, this then allows us to create something like this. Is it a quick thing to do? Absolutely not. But does it pay off? Heck yeah. Right. So I'm going to share, this is the template that we're using during the October 24 online workshop. I'm going to put that in the chat so you guys can take a look at this template. It's pretty intuitive, self-explaining. Even if you want to give it a try, make a copy of this template. And then I also created a sort of like a simplified version of that spreadsheet template. So simply click on those two links. Don't request access, make a copy, add it to your Google Drive. So in a nutshell, this is how it works, right? So I'm going to unshare my screen. I do think we have a little bit of time for Q&A. I know we bombarded you with a ton of information in a very short amount of time. The goal was not to show you, it's impossible to show you everything, how to do this in great detail, but to give you an idea. This is how it works, right? This is how our micro SEO strategy methodology can get you to the top in Google. And hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of these templates. Take a look. If you want to learn more, certainly join us during the workshop on October 24th. All right, so with that being said, I think we have about 5 minutes left. So if there are any questions, we would love to answer them now. Hannah, if you want to get back in the picture here. Yeah.
Here, I'm back. Hello. Yeah, everyone put any questions you have in the Q&A. It looks like we have one. that has popped up. So it looks like the path to getting featured as an AI overview is largely the same as the old path to getting featured in Google featured snippet in the past. Follow SEO best practices and create high quality, useful content. Is there a big difference there
Yeah.
that I'm missing?
Yeah, so what we're doing right now, so basically do a Google search, right? If you see that an AI overview pops up, obviously that's the kind of content that you need to have in your content, all right? So I do recommend that, find at least 3 to 5 target SEO keywords, do a search, see if an AI overview pops up, paste that into a Google Doc or into a generative AI tool such as Gemini or ChatGPT, and then say, hey, remove duplicates, help me come up with a summary. And basically, we know that this is the most critical information that we need to have in that piece of content. That's the main difference. I mean, that's a great question. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we still have a few minutes if you have any other questions. Don't be shy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of information. I hope it made sense. Yeah, Hannah, I think you'll be sending out the recording to the session. Feel free, share the slides. If you can please PDF them, make them available so that people have the links available that we included in as part of this presentation. Yeah, looks like, gosh, everything that, let's see, borrowing, stealing from the company. There's a question, Joey, borrowing, stealing from the companies who are already featuring totally makes sense. I wouldn't say stealing. I would say we always make it better. We see it as a starting point, the most critical information. I mean, it's just a fact, right? This is what Google shows. This is what Google deems the most important information. So don't just, copy and paste it. Use it as a starting point, Joey. Make it even better. We also ask our clients, hey, what do you foresee in the next 6 to 12 months to change, right? Let's talk about that. Otherwise, yeah, we're just putting something up that's exactly what's already showing there. So you have to make it even better. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And on that note, Chris, also as well, the when we're talking about like seeing what's out there and using that as a starting point, it's also the idea of we want to create a piece that covers the topics that is going to be it. So what we're doing is we're going through different websites, getting different ideas, looking at what's at the AI, bringing the different ideas, and then this piece of content that we're going to create is going to include topics that are present in different websites, but we're consolidating them into one ultimate piece of resource. And that is all getting rewritten by our, expert writers to make sure that it's a better piece than anything that's out there. So I don't think it's, at any point it's copying what's out there. It's making sure that we see what's out there and creating something that's better and more comprehensive.
Absolutely. And then, so I put the link to that half-day workshop in the chat. We're also doing an hour-long webinar specifically like straight to the point, AI overviews. That's going to happen on October 2nd. So if anybody is interested to hear talk us again, right there are the links. Yeah.
It looks like we have another question that just popped up. I don't know if you can see this, but could you please share your thoughts on this? For a test, we did 2 things. The first was post to dev, which was generated from a single prompt in ChatGPT, including an image that even contained errors in the text. At the same time, we wrote an article that required a lot of resources and time, resulting in high quality content. However, the post ended up ranking as the top 1, while the article remained around the 10th position. What do you think about this?
Go back. Something Google doesn't obviously like something. It happens to us as well. If this happens, go back to the drawing board. Think about, why could it potentially happen? Is there something that we didn't think about. What we noticed is if we use Grammarly to heavily edit content, human created content, oh my God, Google actually flags it as AI generated content. So Google hasn't completely figured this out yet, how to deal with, Gen AI stuff. So I do think there's no 100% clear answer right now. We're going to be in this gray area for a while. Obviously, if something is not ranking how we want it to rank, even though we put in the work, you got to go back and take a look at it again. Again, Grammarly, using Grammarly now flags content as being AI generated content. So didn't foresee that. So that's a global answer. I don't know, Daniel, if you want to add.
Well, the only thing I would say about that is, if we came to our writers and said, hey, put together the best piece, more researched piece that you can put together, they would do something. But really, I think the following the steps of creating a micro strategy, which kind of Chris went over really quickly. And I would say, take the time to actually see one of the old webinars, but the whole concept of the micro strategy is what really differentiates the ability to create a piece of content that is good in comparison to a piece of content that Google really takes seriously as the ultimate piece of content. The ability to build that outline by picking, headlines and ideas from all of these 3 different places that I mentioned. I think that specific element of the micro strategy process allows the writers to create something that is going to be much better and rank much better. And we know that for a fact just because we do this every day, right? And we see a lot of the pieces that we create are shooting to the top of page 1, where a lot of the pieces that are just getting randomly created by a writer as a piece that they're sitting down doing research don't rank as well, because the outline step of the micro strategy is such a fundamental piece of the success, right, of what we do. So I would say try to incorporate this micro strategy outline process into the writing, and I think the pieces are going to have a much better chance of ranking higher, because as we see them do on a daily basis for a lot of our clients.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do believe we have gone a little bit over. So thank you everybody for joining today. It was all great information. Again, I'll be sending out the recording and also the PDF as well, so you don't have to go through the webinar to get that information. So yeah, I think that is it. Thank you both so much for your time, and thank you everyone for joining our webinar today.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for your interest in this webinar, for spending time with us. Feel free to reach out if there are any questions. Hannah, thank you so much for having us. That was a blast. Great job, Daniel. Love doing webinars.
Right. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Be well. Bye.